bam. Almost
I was jamming, man. I was sitting there rocking to that since we had an extra commercial or intro there, or whatever you call that.
Caught me snapping on myself.
I know. That's what happens when you try to get somebody else to run the switchboard.
Oh, man. Season 2, episode 2. We had a great week coming off of Eric Brew. It's still serving veterans. We're switching it up this week. We're leaving Army, going to Marine Corps. So it'll be.
I know. I think what happened was that Army-Navy game this year just messed us up. But it'd be all right. We got next year. Hopefully, we got next year.
Oh yeah. But what
notice
happened?
Anything? Well, you notice anything right here? What I'm doing?
Oh, you're standing.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm standing. Remember, you told me to go out and get a desk that rises. So I did that. I always listen to my Ranger buddy. So I went and did that. Plus, I got to say a couple thank yous to you.
Uh-oh. What'd I do?
Oh, yeah. So Marty, see, people don't realize he's actually a nice person. I know he comes across as not nice, but he's actually pretty nice. He bought me this. Did you guys see this camouflage tie? Brooks Brothers. Nice tie here. He got me that tie.
On camera, it almost looks like the new Marine Corps camis. I say new, but newer Marine Corps camis.
I don't know. Do the Marines wear camouflage? Do they wear camis? I thought they're always I thought they always go to the bars and stuff like that. Or anyway, we'll have to ask our guest today. But then he also sent me, boom. So now I'm official. I've got a Bunker Labs coffee mug. I don't even know how to act with this. Anyway, got that. And then one last thing, the folks that follow us know how we are about reading and how he forced me to start reading again last year in April. You started this.
True.
So he also sent me, so now I might be catching him. He sent me a copy, which I read last weekend, a signed copy. There's the signature.
Yep.
For Admiral McCraven's book, The Hero Code.
It's a good book.
Signed
good
copy.
man. Good man.
It is. Great.
I don't even have that.
Man.
I don't even have that book autographed.
You don't? We'll make sure we do a sizzle reel. Make sure that you say that James has it signed and autographed.
So I think Nick's talking about.
Actually, someone did dress me up. Tell him who dressed me up.
A-Rod Salute to Suits. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. We got A-Rod, one of our sponsors, helping there, putting veterans, making them look respectable. So
absolutely. And then, on a serious note, we joke around a lot, but I do want to say this real quick while I got a couple seconds before we get our legend on the mic here and bring him in the lounge. But say a prayer for my father, Chief Master Sergeant retired Ronald Feltz. Unfortunately, he's dealing with the COVID situation. So my family's been struck with that, unfortunately. So if you could lift him up in prayer. And then my uncle is still suffering some medical issues. I'd like to lift him up in prayer and as well. And then one of our biggest fans, supporters, Nick Feltz, if we could lift him up in prayer as well. So anyway, absolutely. Thank you for that plug there.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of that going around right now. We were just talking about the show with the different reactions to COVID. I think pretty much regardless if you're masked up or not, I think everyone is just pretty much done with COVID, Omicron, and whatever else comes next. But I think we're all just kind of done with it. But let's talk about this week's guest. It's Marine Corps veteran. Always love the Marines, especially when they come on. We know that this one is not suitable for work podcast today. He's an author. He's a success champion. And that's right. You have the book. I forgot about that one.
But it's not autographed. I'm a little upset about that.
Well, he's a Marine. He doesn't know how to write. I'll mark an X on it.
I got something that he can write with.
Crayola?
Ammo.
Let's bring him on so he can fight back, because that's kind of unfair, because I know he's going to come out fighting.
This is the only time we have the tactical high ground with him, because when we bring him in, the stage he's going to own it. I know that's what he does. That's what a success champion does.
Let's bring him on. Bam. Oh.
All right, boys. I've got a box of crayons for you. I'll sign that damn thing.
I want it signed. I need it signed. I got it, and I was like, why is this not signed? But then you know what? I got to get down there, I guess, in your AO and down in Texas, right, and get this signed.
For sure,
We'll
dude.
back.
We'll absolutely do that. Just make sure you bring a purple crayon for you because that's my favorite color.
Oh, joint man.
What's going on, fellas?
I actually have the official. Hold on. Spartan 6. You can't see it. Spartan 6 crayon. I made from him at the factory.
Did y'all see
let's
that?
Bring that down.
Yeah, a company actually created edible crayons.
Frank,
it was like
Frank Manitou.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
I saw that shit. I was like, oh my god, they really made edible crayons. That's just awesome.
We actually coached him in Houston back in November. Helped him with some of his marketing stuff. So
that's awesome.
Good dude, good Marine. It was funny because I couldn't. It was ironic that's the weekend I lost my voice, and as I'm trying to coach him, I sound like one of the Marine Corps drill instructors at the end of a cycle where they're like, "Listen up here, dude." You know, it's like I had no fucking voice, so it was so annoying. I was just James was talking, and I was literally writing and showing him what to say and stuff. But yeah, Frank is good freaking people. Crayon eater or something like that. Yeah. Crayons ready to eat. That's what it is. Crayons ready.
As soon as that came out, dude, I must have had like 30, 40 people send me freaking video clips from like TikTok and stuff or whatever, or Instagram. Like somebody finally made your all you can eat buffet.
Yeah, it's pretty good edible chocolate. I haven't had a chance to have it, but everyone I've heard who's actually tasted, I think some of his samples are really good. But yeah, it's good stuff. So welcome to the lounge. We appreciate you being here. Donnie Boivin.
Bovine.
Bovine.
Yeah. Okay. So it's pronounced Bovine, but imagine going through Marine Corps boot camp with this last name.
Yeah.
You know, I was literally a cow. They called me Bovine for the longest time going through boot camp. So as a kid growing up, you listen for Donnie and something begin with B. And I just went with it. And one time on the news morning show, I got introduced as David Brown. You should have seen the producer behind the cameras like waving his hand as they introduced me as David Brown. So there's nothing you're going to say.
You messed that one up.
Yeah. So
that's I had similar. You know, my first name, I go by Marty, but my first name is Adnulfo. And so
your first name is what?
Adnulfo. So anytime you're
God bless you.
Anytime you're in Texas, anytime you're growing up, there's a substitute teacher and you hear everybody, calling through Donnie, James, I'm here. So yeah, and that's why, it was probably like, I think 6th or 7th grade coach was like, I'm not, you're freaking Marty. Okay. So I've been Marty ever since.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, dude. So again, welcome yet again to the show, and let's get into this, brother. You were or are Marines. You guys are weird. I don't know what the hell to say. You guys were or are Marine, former Marine. But when did you come into the Marine Corps? Is it after 9/11 or before?
Oh, way before. Yeah, I went in 95.
Oh, good man.
Yeah. So my older brother went in first, and I was one of those real shitheads with a chip on my shoulder in high school.
You said
and
what?
I did right. But really in high school, I was 110 sopping wet, and thought I was a tough guy, didn't like school, didn't like being told what to do. I did co-op in high school, so I got to work half a day, go to school half a day, take the bare minimum of classes, the only way I got through it. But I was getting in a lot of trouble. Nothing serious, but I was heading that way. And, didn't know what the hell I wanted to be when I grew up. My oldest brother went to the Marine Corps, so I'm like, well, guess I'll do that too. He went in as a 35-21, and I followed suit as a 35 motor team mech. He ended up becoming a maintenance chief, and he did 24 years, which I did my 4 and ran like hell.
Right.
Got out in 99.
Okay. So, and you grew up in Texas. And
Yep.
you were going to high school in Texas there in the Dallas area, Fort Worth
Yep.
area?
Yep. Moved to Texas when I was 11. Prior to that, we lived all over the U.S. Dad was a truck driver. Mom worked in factories. So we went wherever, they could find work. Got to Texas when I was 11. Dad got on with Xerox, and then he retired from there, 18 some odd years later. Then my mom ended up being a receptionist. So, but yeah,
Okay.
from 11 to 18, grew up here in Texas. So I pretty much tell everybody I'm from Texas.
So you're a little different. A lot of us, we come in the military because it's like the family business. James is an Air Force brat. I'm an Army brat. You came in following your brother, not necessarily your parents. Is
No,
that,
I
is that
mean,
right?
my dad was in the Navy, but
Okay.
military wasn't something we like talked about in the household. I mean,
Gotcha.
it wasn't, I will never say I was that kid that signed up because it was my patriotic duty or some shit like that. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to be when I grew up.
Yeah.
So, and literally the only reason I did it was because my brother went that direction. I'm like, well, that's something to do. I know I wasn't going to college. I couldn't stand high school, and I wasn't going to pay to go do shit that I knew I was going to be miserable at. So, but yeah, it was totally I literally broke up with a chick, went to the Marine Corps recruiter, signed up, and was gone a few months later. I was only in MEPS for just a hot minute.
Yeah.
You know.
So what led your brother to the Marine Corps?
His best friend, same thing. None of just the military just wasn't talked about that much in the household. And
Yeah.
brother's a lot like me, dumb in school, we didn't get along with teachers, he was more into sports than I was, but his best friend, got recruited, full on recruited, because nobody in his best friend's family had been in the military. So the recruiter freaking snatched him up.
Right.
And the recruiter sold my brother on the buddy program, right? So
Yeah.
they could go in on the buddy system, and they didn't even end up in boot camp together. And they never
Wow.
saw each other over their entire careers, and they both did 20 plus years and never were stationed together. And they went in on the buddy system or buddy program.
Oh, I went in. So I had a very similar story when I came in the first time. So I was messing up, and I was in Waco. I was messing up college, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing besides wasting my parents' money here? So came in with my roommate, and I brought him in on the buddy system. And it was, whose idea it was, I don't know. But all I know is I got off work. We worked at the same place, restaurant. So I got off work earlier. So I was able to hit the recruiter's office a little bit earlier. And then he came in behind me. Why does that matter? Is because it was the buddy system. So when we get to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, for some reason he's an E1 and I've got mosquito wings on because I'm an E2. They're like, well, you brought someone in, you get your bonus. I was like, well, look at that. It's an extra $20 a month or whatever it was back in 92, but it's funny.
The closest my brother and I ever got stationed is he was in Beaufort, South Carolina, and I was in Camp Lejeune.
Mm-hmm.
And right after we went through MCT training, he was in Beaufort, and I used to drive down the 5 hour drive between Lejeune and Beaufort. And I go down there, and I got the fresh haircut. I look like I'm 16, because I can't grow facial hair or shit. And I go to his base, right there on the air station, and I go into his maintenance shop, and I'm sitting there talking, and his captain walks up. No, it was his gunner walked up. And he starts talking to me, and I keep saying, sir, and sir, and sir. And the gunner looks at me and goes, you don't have to call me sir. My brother goes, sir, he's a private. Because, I just look so damn young. He had no clue that I was actually in the Marine Corps. And the eyes of this freaking gunner's eyes just freaking blew up, not knowing that I was even old enough to be a Marine. So,
Man.
Baby face and all, man.
So is that where you did? Is that where you did your 4 years at? Was there in South Carolina?
Yeah. So I got stationed with 2nd FSG H&S Company. I don't know what it's called now. I know it's been changed. It's no longer FSGs anymore. But just to show my age a little bit. But got stationed there with the maintenance platoon, working on Humvees and 5 tons. And then somewhere along the way, I got attached to the 2nd Forward. And so we did the forward deployed maneuvers. So we did oh shit, I can't even remember the maneuver, but they send a couple of platoons up to Norway, do some cold
Right.
weather training, some mock warfare stuff.
Yeah.
So the freaking we did that up there. So I got to fly through Newfoundland and a little bit in Ireland, and then did the whole Norway thing. Was up there for 3 months, and even got the picture of me and a bunch of buddies completely naked on the tallest mountain in Trondheim with nothing but a snowball covering our junk. Because that's what a bunch of fucking Marines do when you climb a
That's
mountain is
yeah.
let's get naked and use a snowball to hide our junk and take a picture. You know.
That's yeah, no, it's funny. I have a buddy. He's since passed, but his name was Donnie, and infantry with me. And I swear, every time we saw him, he was naked somewhere with something covering his junk. You know, anywhere in the world. There, I was like, "Where's freaking Donnie?" But yeah. So maybe it's the name. I don't know. But
Could be.
so when was it when you
What was
when you
your
were in the
favorite memory? Oh, go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead, man.
I'll James, I'll answer that. So we did a 7-day mock war with the Norwegians, to where they were on snowmobiles and we had to dig in. Well, me and my buddy Jersey Mike, I'll let you figure out where he's from. But him and I wanted to go meet the Norwegian guys because they were all in hooches, and so we go out and they have these round tents similar to what we'd set up in cold weather, but inside of theirs they had fucking stills. They had a full-on working still inside their
Yeah.
damn tents. So Mike and I sit there and we're drinking with the Norwegians, and the next day we're supposed to do a freaking mock war with them. And so we're just getting shit hammered. And then, Mike and I realized that there's no way we're going to be able to get out of the rack to go do this mock war. We're too hammered. So we just climbed to the closest foxhole that we'd already dug privately. We knew we'd be there for the war. And we both just passed out in the foxhole. We woke up to the gunshots and the everything going off, the snowmobiles going by, because they woke us up as they drove by us in our foxhole. And nobody knew. Nobody had our gunnies weren't looking for it, nothing. We literally snuck and passed out in foxholes and woke up the next day. So that's how prepared we were, is nobody even knew we were fucking gone. But
that explains why Marty lost that exercise, because he said, I wonder why our left flank got exposed. Now we know the truth.
Yeah,
it's because those two fuckers were passed out in the damn foxhole.
Our first joint warfare. So I was going to ask, so when you started your journey in the Marine Corps, what was that first moment where you were like, oh shit, this is real? And did you think, I really fucked up? I really stepped in it now? Or,
no.
Man, I made the right choice.
No. I fucked up. So when we got to San Diego, I remember getting off the plane and somebody gets you to this little, it was a mobile home basically right outside the airport. And you sit there and, there's a vending machine in there and a couple of chairs. I remember walking up to the gal that was like the receptionist in there. I said, is there any place I can get some money around here? Because I didn't think about bringing cash. And she's like, yeah, you're not going to have time for that. And I just thought it was a really odd statement for her to say. And then here comes fucking, the senior freaking Staff Sergeant Larmano damn near kicking the door in. Get on the bus. And it was okay, right? Yelling at me, get on the bus. And then all the way to the fucking thing, he's just screaming and hollering. Then we get out and stand on the yellow footprints. And I realize I just signed up for fucking 13 weeks of this asshole just yelling at me. What the fuck did I do? And, I was ill prepared, even though I had talked to my brother a lot about his experience in the Marine Corps. There's nothing that prepares you for that freaking moment.
No.
But I did 6 months in boot camp. I got hurt twice. I got set down in medical rehabilitation platoon. So I actually picked up with a total of 3 platoons going through boot camp. The first time I caught cellulitis, whole right leg swelled up. I got kicked back for a week where they got to put me on antibiotics and shit. And then the second time I broke both feet going up Mount Motherfucker. Completed the hump and they ended up cutting my boots off me. But I got recycled twice. And the day I graduated boot camp was funny, was the 2 seniors from the other 2 platoons that I was in that was doing our final inspection. Right. And this is way before they did whatever the fucking shit what's the Marine Corps Reaper or whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Crucible.
Crucible, right? That was way before the Crucible. So, we weren't a Marine until we walked across the parade deck and they said so. And there's a final inspection, you go through, and it was my 2 seniors from my last 2 platoons that were doing that final inspection. And when they see me in line, they're like, "Holy shit, you're actually going to graduate?" I'm like, "Goddamn right." And then my senior, who was my senior at the time, is like, "He ain't done yet. He ain't a damn Marine." And you can see both of my seniors other seniors kind of look at him and just smile because, I'm sure there was conversations about me washing out, but I was not gonna freaking be the one of the 2 brothers that went through that didn't make it.
Right.
So
So we have stories
So
like that of
basically, you got your PhD. You got your PhD as a Marine.
yeah, pretty much.
Spent
Pretty
that
much.
much time there.
Well, and the funny thing is, anytime you get on the backside of anything, you're like, that's the easiest thing in the world. I mean, but when you went to MRP, you start seeing that drill instructors is more people versus like these dudes that are just screaming and yelling. You realize they got families and things, because you're kind of, in the smoke cloud when you first meet these guys. And once I realized that the game being in boot camp wasn't all that hard. It still was physically challenging,
Sure.
but the mental game, the edge wasn't there anymore because in MRP, they're not allowed to be so hard and tough on you. And even a couple of times, the drill instructors were sitting on the beds talking to you, keeping your mental game up. So the rest of boot camp, even though it took me so long to get through it, wasn't as difficult as it was for a lot of people that did the straight 13 weeks through.
Right. Now we have similar experiences with U.S. Army Ranger School where people will recycle, and depending on when they get recycled, they could catch the infamous best Ranger break, and you're just on details and you're sitting there.
Yeah.
And when one of my buddies, he got caught in that, and I think his nickname became Fat Ranger because by the time you get to Florida, you're so skinny. I lost 32 pounds, and I only went in at 150.
Right.
But he was sitting there. Apparently, he got into the ice cream and stuff like that. So he's just eating and eating. And by the time class came, it's like, "Come on, Fat Ranger!" He's like rolls over.
Well, in the Marine Corps, if you're underweight, they made you a double rat, and so you got an extra tag that said you got double rations.
Yeah.
Well, all of us in MRP found the fucking tags and made ourselves all double rats. So I remember one of my first platoon saw me coming out of the chow hall. And they were all like, "Holy shit, fat body!" Because we were just eating the shit out of double rats as part of being in MRP. Walking around in moon boots and shit. But yep, eating our asses off.
Oh man, that's one thing we all have is hot chow. Definitely increases morale
for sure.
Sometimes just that's the only thing you have to look forward to is freaking hot chow. So you talked about a couple of things there, kind of once you realize the game, or not the game, but the situation, it became less mentally challenging, and that's kind of getting your mind right. How much of that kind of stuff carries with you today of just the mental aspect, getting your mind right, getting ready for your new battlefield,
For me, the Marine Corps was 4 years, right? I mean, it was a moment in time for me. I think my parents had ingrained a lot of good shit in me growing up. Blue collar, work your ass off and continue to push forward. I think the biggest thing I ever took away from the Marine Corps was during boot camp. I think it was training day 17, the first time I got sent down. But I remember that night before, dude, I'm laying in the rack and, they'd been on my ass all day. Those seniors and all the drill instructors just ripping me a new one. And I remember thinking, why do I got to go through this? Why do I got to have these assholes yell at me? Can't they just make me a freaking Marine, right? I think everybody has that moment when they're going through boot camp, right? And then I remember the day I'm on the parade deck and they say, "You're a Marine." And it was a proud moment, but I wasn't as excited as I thought I would be. But the first thought that ran through my head when they said you're a Marine was, well, shit, that wasn't that hard. And it was, I've carried that kind of thought process with me through the rest of my journey because, it's the idea of embrace the suck, man. It only sucks in a moment while you're going through it, but eventually you're going to look back on this moment. And I've found for me that the more that I just enjoy the journey and the more I enjoy doing the hard things, life gets a little simpler. Doesn't get easy,
Right.
but it's the difference between, I think, what some people find as successful and what others are trying to accomplish is they want to shortcut the process when the magic is actually going through and doing the doing,
Yeah.
and that's probably the biggest thing that I took away from the core.
No, I think that's huge. I mean, when you look now, at life, there's some people that still haven't learned these lessons,
Oh, for
and
sure.
we're learning them. In the military, you're learning them at 18, 19, 20 years old. And unfortunately, I don't think we fully appreciate it until a little bit later when you
Well,
reflect.
and I look at the generations of military coming out right now, and the biggest thing I want them to do is get this idea of the world fucking owes you something, you know.
Right.
And it's not just our veterans, it's this generation really is approaching the world like somebody owes them something. And you go back to World War II, and it was the greatest movement of entrepreneurs. It's because all the World War II vets were coming back and they were starting businesses.
Yeah.
And this generation of veterans coming out, very few are actually starting businesses. They still don't know what they want to be when they grow up, and they're trying to figure it out. But it takes them a while to get punched in the face by life and not make it before they go, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. And then they go back to their roots and go, all right, how did I get through all that shit? And it's literally go fuck up a whole bunch of things and keep pushing forward.
Right. And why do you think that is?
I think a lot of people got shortcutted on the learning process. For me, mom and dad worked their ass off, and I didn't get shit as a kid, hand me down clothes. So, I mean, I started working at 14, and it was eye opening. I was giving a speech down in Florida at a big convention, and there was a gal there teaching these CEOs of companies, how to hire millennials, which I thought was an interesting thing, that you had to learn how to hire millennials.
Right.
Just hire the people, mentor, coach, figure it out. But the one thing she said, and I remember she asked the crowd, she goes, how old were you guys when you got your first job? And you could hear kind of the general murmur, 14, 15, 16,
Yeah.
and the likes. And then she goes, what you got to understand is at that point, you were learning how to work a job, be in business, do something. The millennials are 22, 23, 24. This is their first job ever.
Oh, wow.
So it was a quick perspective on the marketplace. Is they had to be taught business. They had to be taught what a job was. They had to be taught, how to show up for a job, because they hadn't done that. And I think it works the same way for the veteran community. Is a lot of these guys went from high school learning and studying straight into the military. They didn't have a job or anything. They didn't, I mean, I worked at fast food restaurants. I freaking worked at a bakery. I mean, all kinds of shit, trying to make ends meet, even as a kid. But, a lot of these guys get out of the military and they have no idea what the next move for them should be. No idea what the next step should be, because they haven't done anything. They haven't tried anything. And it's like a kid coming out of, getting an MBA. I think, okay, I've got an MBA. Now I should make a $500,000 a year job. No, you've got no experience. Now you need to go get a job so you can actually practically apply that stuff you learn, and then use your military bearing, your military background to climb the freaking ranks.
Yeah.
Or start a company and just start breaking shit quickly so you can figure it out. But I think, unfortunately, for a lot of the kids coming out now and a lot of people out now, they just did not get the opportunity to learn some really badass life lessons.
I mean, I think what I'm hearing too is they didn't get an opportunity to fail.
Yeah.
Mess something up and be told, well, let's figure it out. I mean, it's just different. We have a bubble wrap. Even in the military, this last part of the war, if you look at casualty rates and KIAs from the previous wars and today, it's a societal thing. Not that it's necessarily bad, but it's definitely got more focus on it. So if you if you grew up in a different generation, James and I were talking just I think it was yesterday. I was laughing at a Facebook thing I saw. It said this was my energy drink growing up, and it was a water hose, green water hose.
Right.
I was like, hell yeah, that's what I had in Texas.
Right.
Growing up, water comes out, it's freaking hot. It tastes like whatever. Let it run a little bit, but that's what we grew up on. I didn't have to have a Gatorade or whatever else. So it's just different, it really is. And I think that's part of that transformation we talk about.
Yep, for sure. And, I often tell people that I won't work with veterans until they're a number of years out, because until they've gone and fucked up life and are finally to that place where like, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be something more. But without that experience of getting punched in the face over and over and over again and going, okay, I'm going to keep going, then they're not teachable. They're not willing to actually take the hits and learn. And so, we've just learned that they need to go get a chip knocked off their shoulder and screw up enough so that they're ready to actually succeed at life and do some big things.
Do you find a difference between those veterans getting out, going right into the business world, and those that went entrepreneurial route, that maybe they learn faster because they're getting kicked in the teeth more?
Yeah, the entrepreneurs by far learned a hell of a lot faster. Once you step foot into corporate America, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But once you step foot in corporate America, you're going to kind of put your head in the sand for the next 5 to 10 years, until you get to a point to where you look back in your life and go, shit, I haven't done anything with my life yet. I mean, that was my story. I was 40 years old before I launched a company. I came out of the Marine Corps with with my best friend and his old man doing HVAC, heating and air conditioning sales. Got recruited up to sell franchises, and then sold commercial printing for a number of years, and then finished up my career with Sandler Training, a sales training organization. And, it was during that sales training organization when, I was getting close to 40, that I started hearing this idea that you could actually start your own business. I didn't know that was a thing. I grew up blue collar. I mean, you went and worked for other people, there's no idea of starting your own business. I was never in that environment. So when you hear people like Gary Vee and Jen Sincero and some of these other people talk about, dude, you can start your own thing. I'm like, well, shit, why am I making everybody else all this damn money?
Yeah. Exactly.
Why don't I figure this crap out on my own? And let me tell you, becoming an entrepreneur, building your own business, that's a surefire way to meet yourself in some very rough ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's do this, because I think we're kind of 100%. Getting to that point. Let's cut to commercial real quick, and let's come back and talk about what you're doing now as the CEO of the Success Champion family.
Cool.
If you're good with that. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in a minute.
When you see a veteran wearing that new outfit, he was like $1 million. Giving back is key for me, quite frankly. We did an event called Suiting Our Heroes, where we invited everybody to come in and basically donate their gently used suit. Because there's a lot of veterans out there, to be quite frank, that can't even afford a suit. So what we did was we had the community get involved, giving food, giving some soft drinks, and basically come out and donate your gently used suit. What we did with those suits is we went ahead and gave them to veterans that couldn't afford anything because they're gently used. We had them tailored. We donated a shirt and tie to go with that. And guess what? When you see a veteran wearing that new outfit, he was like $1 million. And he knows he can go out there for the next chapter of his life and feel confident about that.
You're watching the Lounge with Legends TV show with your hosts, Marty Martinez and James A. Feltz.
All right, let's get James Ugly Mug off of there. Bam. All right. So just tuning in, we got Donnie Boivin from the CEO of the Success Champion family. Did I get it right, Donnie?
You got it.
Bovine.
Thanks, James.
That was Bovine.
It is Bovine. I was just going to let him run with it.
Thank you. Thank you. I was listening. You know, I'm doing a lot of listening. I always do. I'm the note taker of the group. But yeah, Bovine.
You look like a note
Come
taker.
on there,
So that
Errol.
makes sense.
I am. The record is 9 note cards. Eric Brew, I had a 9 cards with him, so we're trying to go for that record. I know this second half of the show is really, Donnie, when you're going to shine, and you're going to talk about the Success Champion Network, everything you're doing there. Your bad high-speed Spartan Leonidas statue in the background I'm spotting. I love that. I love Spartan stuff. So I've noticed all your Spartan stuff. I think it's amazing. And, you know, I hold the Spartan stuff close to near and dear to my heart. So you already got me. I've got 5 people that reached out to me, said they want one of your hats. So I don't know what to do about that. But anyway.
We can make that happen. If they go to successchampionnetworking.com and click on the shop, they can order the hat there.
Nice.
There you go. Boom. We'll put the website up there.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll do that right now while we talk about. So you've got to the point now where you said you realized, holy crap, I can actually start my own business. I don't have to make someone else a millionaire. I can do my own stuff. And you started in the entrepreneurial realm. What was the first thing that you started?
All right. So no, I got it. So I got put under an international non-compete. So my last career was sales training. You know, I spent 20 years as a straight commission sales guy. I've never had like a full salary position. And my now was put under a non-compete, though I couldn't talk about sales or sales training, right? And freaking, so I started off as a success coach. Now, to this day, guys, I have no fucking clue what a success coach is.
Sounds fancy, though.
Right? When I was doing it, I thought it was cool. But you know, I had this thought process that I was going to be, I don't know, this motivational speaker and coach and inspire and motivate people and really get people fired up. And what I realized quickly is nobody knew who the hell I was. You know, so in Fort Worth, Texas, I had a pretty cool Rolodex. I had a lot of people I knew, but nobody knew who I was. So my first year in business was really, really, really rough. So the company's been Success Champion all the way through. It's just we've evolved along the way, and the crux of it is, you know, prior to launching the company, I was in a position, I was getting ready to buy out my business partner in the sales training company, and you know, it was gonna be a multi-million-dollar deal over 5 years, and you know, we'd put a nest egg to aside. And so when I walked away from all of that career and that lifestyle, I was now out creating a business, and I learned really, really quickly. I had no idea how to be a CEO. And you know, 6 months in, I stood in the back porch of my farm, looked at my wife and said, babe, we're about to lose everything we own, because I literally have no idea how to be a CEO of a company. And luckily, I found podcasting in May of 2018, and that taught me a lot about business. So we launched our first show, Success Champions, and that one became, you know, top. I don't know. I think we hit number 22 out of all podcasts in the world about 5 months in, and then my non-compete came up in, you know, September of 2018, and now I could do the one thing I was freaking good at, was talk about sales, business development, and that's what allowed us to really freaking spark and scale to now having 6 companies, you know, 2 top podcasts and 4 best-selling books, you know. But it all stems from, you know, when you start a business, the one thing nobody tells you is you're going to meet you, because at some point you're going to realize there's nobody left to fucking blame. Right. You're going to look yourself in the mirror, and that success you may see, that's your fault. That lack of success you may not see, that's also your fault. And as soon as you can get to that point when you understand that everything's on you, Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership, right? Everything's on you. Life gets a lot simpler. And what I realized is my biggest thing I wasn't doing was acting like a CEO. And how I figured it out is, one day I'm just overwhelmed with business, right? I got clients coming in, I got jobs we got to get done, and it's only me. And that's awesome, Donnell. And freaking, I was just in a state of overwhelm. So I pulled out a yellow notepad and I started writing down everything I had to do in the business, everything from freaking, taking out the trash to invoicing to everything. Wrote it all down. And then I drew a line to the right of that. And in the top right, in that blank column, I wrote, would Steve Jobs do this task? And then I went through line by line every freaking task I was doing and I realized I was just doing a lot of stupid shit that I shouldn't be doing. And then what I realized is I hadn't created a business. I'd created a really crappy job for myself.
Yes.
Right. So now instead of thinking, how does it get done? I had to start thinking, who can get it done for me? And then, I started outsourcing. I started giving things to other people and started actually looking at, okay, instead of thinking, how can I grow right now? How can I scale this thing? Right? What are all the systems and processes and people I need to have in place to actually get this thing so it'll hockey stick? And that's when I really learned the game of being a CEO. 100%, I know.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You said it in your book too. Write it down. You said it in here.
Yeah.
And then you talk about, a lot of people are confused. They need to understand the difference between a business and a job, and a lot of people don't understand that. And I've seen a lot of folks that think they have a business. I say, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, ma'am, but you have a job. And then they get, then they got to understand that. But I like it. That's exactly what you got in here. So endless stream of referrals.
Yeah, I mean, a surefire way if you know you got a job or a business, and this one is a sure tell, is if you're the only person in the company that can do it, you have a job, right? If you're the only one, you as an individual are not scalable.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're the only one that can do it, life sucks for you. You got a job. So you got to start thinking in who. And I had to come up with an acronym to learn how to delegate and get things off my plate, because I'm this person that's just all over the map, right? I probably have ADHD, never been diagnosed or anything, but I'm constantly just moving and thinking. But when I first started trying to outsource and delegate things and figuring, I had no idea how to do all that. So I had to figure it out. And I did it really poorly early on, because I did it military style, which was no direction, no anything. Here, this is now your shit. Right. But when you're working with a bunch of people in the civilian type sector that've never been in that world, they're like, what do I do? And you're like, what do you mean? What do you do? Just figure it out. Just do it. So I had to learn to properly delegate. I came up with an acronym that I've used for years, and the acronym's funny for me because it's ADD. And it stands for action, document, delegate. So you do the action, you document the process, and then you give that to somebody else and let them fully develop out the process. It is never your job to create the overall final process. That is the people you give it to. That's their job, is to develop the process, and their job then is to create the process so others can do it. And then they ADD. They take the action on the process that they've documented out, and then they give it to the next person and let them continue to perfect the process. And in addition to that, hire lazy people. And the reason I say hire lazy people is because they'll always find the shortcuts, because they don't want to do long processes. So you find these lazy people, and they're always going to find ways to do it faster, quicker, stronger. So I like the really soft-spoken, just not high-energy people to do operational type things for me, because they'll take a 20-step process and turn it into 3. So
I love that. So I mean, you need to hire Casey West here, because he's the laziest NCO I ever had. But,
Casey, if you're looking, holler at me, man.
Love you, Casey. But no, I love that. I had never considered, the laziest people, because they really are. They're going to get it from A to Z as fast as possible. So, because we always talk about, getting shit done. They're really gonna get it done.
Yeah, they are. And it's the funniest thing is, why make it an 8-hour day when you can make it, in 3? And we have a company policy that you'll get paid the same amount of hours for whatever time you work, as long as the shit gets done.
Yeah. I think
everybody's liking to hire lazy people.
Yeah, David.
Well, Marty's
try that.
He hired me, so I've been lazy. I don't know if I'm living up to that billing there. So I think that you got to add the accountability and kind candor there as well. You mentioned Gary V earlier, and he's got a great booking. I don't know if you read this one yet.
Yeah. How lazy is too lazy?
Well, yeah. I mean, they still got
to hire lazy, not malingerer.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you want them to get the damn job done. You know, right. So you know, they still up to that point. You know, so hire the Lance Corporal, maybe not the PFC.
Right. Yes. I like that. No, that's great. Now, those are some great takeaways. I'm actually taking notes. One note is make sure I fuck up your name each time, and then the next note is which Steve.
I'm gonna do a Gary V episode where he's like Vaynerchuk and just start going Donnie Boivin.
But no, I really like that. You know, would Steve Jobs do this task? Because kind of going back to that, some of the things we talk about is, and I learned it from I forget Mike. He wrote the Pumpkin Patch, but
Mike Michalowicz.
Yes,
good dude.
He was on one of the calls that we were on with one of our other coaches, and they were talking about, as an entrepreneur, draw 2 lines on a sheet of paper and write what you hate, what you can tolerate, and what you fascinate. And then when you look at that hate column, what can you delegate, which goes right into your ADD acronym, kind of, you know, what would Steve Jobs do this? And then how do you pass that on? And what we talk about is, you know, we talked about mission command in the Army. You know, can I provide the task and purpose and desired end state? There you go. That's that military leadership that kind of bleeds over, so that, you know, yeah, they're lazy, but I've given them enough instruction so that I'm not stifling their imagination. They can still get it done, but it's going to be done to task, if that makes sense.
For sure. You know, I think another key for me, hearing you say that I had to come to grips with is I was really, really selfish my first year. Right. You know, I wanted people to know who I was. I wanted my brand to be out there. I wanted to be somebody. And what you have to discover quickly is you already are somebody. You just need to create a vision that's so purposeful in nature that other people want to help you build. Once you grab a hold of that vision that other people are like, fuck, I want to be a part of that. So like when we launched Success Champion Networking, we literally set out to change how the world networks by doing and changing all the things people hated about networking. And when I started telling people, hey, we're going to change how the world networks, people started raising their hand and said, I want to be a part of that movement. And, you know, we launched that in March of 20, and we've now grown to almost 50 chapters across the US. We're getting ready to open up in Canada, you know, and we're continuing to expand. And yes, we've changed how the world networks for sure, but people are still jumping in with this because they want to be a part of that mission. They want to be a part of that movement where they can say, shit, I helped build this.
Right.
And I think a lot of people get so selfish in their business. They get so selfish in, you know, I need to be an influencer, or I need to have this personal brand so big, or I need to do all this thing. They forget that it's actually about the people you serve. Right. Absolutely. So what is that vision that you're putting out there to the world that other people are going, fuck, I want to be a part of that. I want to help build that. I want that to be part of my legacy. You find that, you'll build an empire, not just a company.
No, that's huge, man. That is huge. And that's what we talk about, is understanding how do you parlay your own vision and then have others help you build it without making it all about yourself. Yep. And that's a talent. We often talk about, you know, in marketing for us, is utilizing the hero's journey.
Yes, and for sure.
But to do that, one of the things Don Miller, our coach, has taught us is that you really have to understand their pain points. You know, otherwise you're just going to be flapping your gums.
Absolutely.
And but what that requires is for you to care, but finding that line where you don't care too much.
You know, Don Miller was a brilliant marketer because he took somebody else's phenomenal concept and built a business around it.
Yeah.
If that original person that would have came up with Hero's Journey would have just turned that into a marketing play, he'd have Don Miller's business. So good on Don for figuring that out. It's a really, really smart move.
Yeah. No, because it's simple. I mean, other people, there's so many variants of that, the hero's journey and how to market, how to do it. But the concept is still the same. I don't give a shit about you. I care about myself.
Right.
If you can do that, boom, you're onto something. So how can you sell a product or service by making it about somebody else and getting them? So that's brilliant. So when people come to Success Champion Networking, what's their greatest takeaway from going? I'm part of this family here. This is awesome. And oh, by the way, I also receive what?
So most people have done networking in the traditional sense. Traditional networking, if you will, you show up to a meeting, somebody bangs a gavel, and then there's 45 minutes of the people doing these 60-second commercials with dumbass jingles on the end of it, right? And then some idiot gets up and does a 10-minute speech that nobody gives a flying fuck about. You're learning about the forefathers who started the company 150 years ago and shit. And then they fabricate a whole bunch of referrals, and that's traditional networking in its sense. So when you look at Success Champion Networking, what we've done with that, we've completely changed the game. We don't allow multi-level marketing, network marketing, those type of things. We're looking for the second tier networker. If that traditional style of networking works for you, you're not a fit for the world we're playing in. So we bring a group of elite badasses together and really help them level up. So not are you becoming a part of the family, you're growing and scaling your business through education, training, networking, and a ton of facets. You get access to the entire network because most people have never been taught sales. Most people have never been taught how to build a business. Right. Most people have never found themselves in a peer situation of other badasses that are just going big and loud. And that's what we put all together. So when people join the Success Champions family, literally we are getting them to business freedom, because nobody started a business off to create a shitty job for themselves. They started a business to get to some sort of freedom, however they define that. And that's what you'll get by hanging out with us at Success Champion Networking.
No, that's awesome. So I'm scrolling it right now for people to find you there. I also put it in the comments. That's how we found you. We were running your event, your live event was it October in Dallas, I think?
Probably.
I think that's how we came across you, because it seemed like a badass event. Unfortunately, it was just a schedule conflict, but we'll definitely be at your next ones.
So, you're talking about the Badass Business Summit. So we have the Badass Business Summit that is also a part of one of our companies. And so we do that every year in September. We'll be doing that again in September. I think it's going to be the 22nd through the 23rd. You can go to badassbusinesssummit.com to figure out more details there. We're doing the hotel walkthrough on Thursday to get everything finalized. But there we bring together 11 to 20 speakers, live events, workshops. It is a badass time, all focused on growing and scaling your business. So that'll be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in September.
Cool. And it won't be as hot as
summertime. No, you do not want to be in Texas, in July and August.
It'll only be 100 degrees, not 130.
Right.
That's awesome. Dude, this is a great interview. I wish we could last forever on this one. That I think we're kicking off season 2 pretty strong here. So, but it's time for the question, brother. You've served, your family served and sacrificed. And for us, freedom means something a little bit different. So we're asking you, Donnie, what does freedom mean to you?
Man, freedom is the ability to make a choice and have that ability to do what you want to do whenever you want to do it. Most people have gone through life not being able to look at life saying, this is what I want to do, and create that life for themselves. Freedom is your ability to make your own choices, make your own decisions, and keep moving forward. It means nobody is over your shoulder saying, you got to go this way, you got to do this. You're doing it all on your own. Go find freedom for yourself.
No, brother, I love it. Coming from an entrepreneur, holy shit, you found your freedom, right? I mean, that's kind of what you're doing, making your own fate.
For sure. And I think for a lot of people that they're still wandering on their journeys. They haven't figured out what's that magic. Thank you, Danelle. What's that magic thing that they should be doing? So biggest thing for them, go screw up. If your life is comfortable, you're not going big enough. If your life is easy, you're not going big enough. If shit's not breaking, you're not doing enough cool and the right things. Go get in the game and watch what the hell happens.
If you're not scared a little bit, you ain't going big enough.
Exactly right. Hey, and guys, if you're watching this, do these two guys a hell of a favor. Tell other people about this show. Being a podcaster myself, it's a lot of work to put all this stuff together and get the guest and make sure everything's functioning. So tell at least one other person about this show so they can tune in and listen and show them some love. I mean, literally, if somebody new subscribes to their stuff, it's like you walked up and gave the guys a virtual hug. So take care of them and share that shit out for them.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate that. We love our supporters and love having legends like you on the show because they keep coming back for people like you, not from us. They want to hear from.
Well, for sure. I mean, have you seen you two?
I know. That's why we have you on the big screen. Awesome, brother. And sorry that you had to join the Marine Corps, but aside from that, it's been a great interview, bro.
I appreciate you guys, and thank you for being in the little leagues of the military services.
All right, brother. Thanks again, and we will definitely catch up with you after the show, bro. Thanks. Hey, James, what a great interview. We knew it was a live wire there with him, but it's a great time mixing it up with Donnie Boivin. But
oh, absolutely. Did you finally get it right? I can't believe it. It only took you 59 minutes to get that correct, but I'm proud of you.
Hey, next week we've got the voice of LinkedIn, Michael Quinn, coming on the show. Going to switch it up from entrepreneur back to transitioning veterans getting out of the military and how to really, get your LinkedIn up and running. So I'm looking forward to that. Michael Quinn, CEO of Higher Military. He will be on here next week. Thanks again for our guest this week. And I guess that's it, James. You got anything else, brother?
No, just like I said, keep my father and my family in your prayers. And thanks for tuning in. And thanks, Donnie, for being our legend. And thanks for the shout out and asking for folks to subscribe. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service. Airborne.
You've been watching the Lounge with Legends show, countering the narrative that veterans are all broken misfit toys. Veterans are the lifeblood of American freedom. Serving in harsh situations, coupled with their training, have forged them into some of the most resilient and capable leaders in the world. And that's where we come in, celebrating the success stories, taking you on a journey of transformation from military to business. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back soon. But find us on Facebook at Lounge with Legend or at JTF214. Till next time.